All right, YouTube, what is up, man? This is gonna be an interesting video because Academics is gonna be alluding that Aiden and Drake are gonna be sued or something like that. Let me play the audio.
Chat, what else has been going on? Chat, first of all, today I had to show up to federal court. I showed up to federal court today, and yes, I'm not gonna lie to you. Let me tell you this. Meg the Stallion, or we should call her Meg the Karen, she's probably wasted $1 million to prove something that I don't believe is not even a thing. I want to give y'all a real synopsis of what's going on, and I'm always gonna tell you the truth as how it pertains to me or whatever. Meg the Stallion is claiming that some chick, and I shouldn't say some chick because I do know her, Milagro Cooper, who's a blogger, we know as Milagro Grams, defamed her, posted a deep fake porn of her, and cyber harassed her and other things. They're suing her. While they're doing that, they've subpoenaed everybody in the world who seems to have any endearing feelings about Tory Lanez. Now, I've spoken to some of the best legal minds in the land. They all feel this is a sham. Like, let's be honest, right? And I'm kicking it to y'all straight, like really straight. They spent $1 million at least. I spoke to a really highly reputable lawyer who looked at even my deposition and said, "Academics, yo, you sat for 7 hours and they had 7 attorneys on there. Quinn Emanuel, which is the law firm that represents Meg Thee Stallion, but it's also Roc Nation's law firm. They billed $2,000 an hour. 7 hours, 7 attorneys. Yo, that might have been $100,000 deposition. Okay, cool. So anyway, I did that. I ain't gonna lie to you, they were mad tight because I came online, I posted the clips, and it made them look quite silly. I gotta be honest, it made them look quite silly. Now, why did I post it? Obviously, number one, I could have ducked the deposition. I did the deposition because I do respect the processes of the court. But the probative nature of what they were trying to ask me about was simply bullshit. I had to expose it because I don't think, and this is why I'm mentioning the money. With all due respect to Milagro Cooper, I don't think she has the money that they're spending. If y'all are in $1 million or two, just investigating and prodding for other people, you ain't even get to trial. You think Milagro Cooper is going to give you more than $2 million? It's not going to happen. So I'm looking at that. Every lawyer who's like in tune with hip hop and know the situation, they've all said the same thing. This is a sham. You're not going to get the money that you're spending. You're spending a wild amount of money. So anyway, I did the whole 7-hour deposition. Eventually, the whole thing will probably come out at that point. However, there was a question that they asked me. And by the way, why did I say it was also a sham? Of 7 hours of a deposition, 7 hours of a deposition, they spent 30 minutes to an hour to ask me about Drake. They asked me about Nicki Minaj. They were asking me about things that really had nothing to do with Milagro Cooper and their client, Meg Thee Stallion. Hey, what about
What the hell? Why they asking about Drake?
Steak? What about? They were asking me about things that really had nothing to do with Milagro Cooper. 30 minutes to an hour to ask me about Drake. They asked me about Nicki Minaj. They were asking me about things that really had nothing to do with Milagro Cooper and their client, Meg Thee Stallion. Hey, what about steak? What about this? What about that? It was pretty much a fishing expedition. This is why, and we're going to be very clear, it seems that, and that's what I'm saying, I've spoken to legal minds, they don't believe that this woman is their target at all. Why would you waste millions of dollars going after a woman who doesn't most likely have millions of dollars? And then when you get your chance to question people that you could try to get a conviction, you're asking about Drake, steak, you're asking about Nicki Minaj, you're asking about everything else
But the person.
something here is fishy. So that's been going on. And like me, I've taken it, and I think a lot of people, whether legal minded or not, and I'm not here to co-sign everything that Nicki said, but I do believe that Roc Nation has a scheme going on. I believe that they're using this case and a bunch of other things to try to bully and intimidate people. It's clear. I've said from the get-go, they're trying to bully and intimidate people. But also they're seeking something. I'm going to be honest with you, I believe that they're trying to seek to sue Drake eventually too.
Whoa. Damn. Let's play that again.
I'll be honest with you, I believe that they're trying to bully and intimidate people.
And this is all allegedly. I don't know nothing about nothing. I'm here reporting. I don't know nothing about nothing. I'm just here reporting.
But also they're seeking something. I'm going to be honest with you, I believe that they're trying to seek to sue Drake eventually too.
Wow.
I think this lawsuit is just one of many. And it's hilarious to me because at the end of the day, there's a lot of money going around everywhere. Of course, Roc Nation got infinite, but, you don't pick on a small blogger. There's other people with a ton of legal fees. Drake doesn't spend $100,000 just to find this guy Kojo. So he got the money. So they're not going to pick on Drake. But eventually, all this has to come to something. For Meg Thee Stallion, I'm confused because I think every time we see more legal action from her, her likability goes down. We just realized that this is a chick that can't accept the fact, just like how y'all say Drake can't accept the
I was just about to say it, just like Drake. This is why Drake is in the position that he's in, all these legal battles. Exactly. Just like your boy Drake. Facts.
fact he lost. Meg Thee Stallion seems like she can't accept the fact that some people will never believe her, no matter what. No matter what. You better bring a video that is crystal clear, and maybe then they will. But other than that, they probably won't believe you because of some of your own actions, your words, your demeanor, some things that they saw or heard about during the trial that just didn't make too much sense to them, or they had whatever doubt. If y'all watch some of the clips I even posted about the deposition, the lawyer of Meg Thee Stallion decided to argue with me about my opinion, if I believe Meg, rather than even asking me questions. Nevertheless, they filed a what's called a motion to compel, right? So there was a question that they asked me. They said, hey, Akademiks, you tweeted out at one point that, break-in, Tory Lanez DNA was not found on the weapon. We want to know, how did you get that information? Now, that information, if it were valid, would be only known by three parties: the judge, prosecution in LA, and Tory Lanez's defense team. Now, remember I said if it was accurate. Now, everyone and their mama made it clear to say, hey, that's not accurate. Even Tory Lanez's lawyer said that. Which means when I tweeted it out, because I tweeted it before the day of the day in court even started, it was pointed out Akademiks didn't tweet out the right information. Yet, Meg Thee Stallion's lawyers, aka Rock Nation lawyers, they are trying to say, I got the information from a credible source. Now, today in court, and I'll tell you exactly what happened in court. It's going to come out in the minutes anyway, right? Or the transcript. So today in court, they were trying to say that in their conspiracy theory that Milagro defamed Meg, Milagro claimed she had the same source as me, and if they could force me to reveal the source of my tweet, they could prove the conspiracy, and they believe that source is Tory. So if I say Tory, they're going to now say, well, you said your source was him. Tory may have sent you money. Okay. They're going into cuckoo land. Now, let me tell you a few things that did happen in court, and I'll tell you what the order was in terms of the motion. The judge, number one, scolded the defense, or not defense, but the plaintiff, I guess the plaintiff's counsel, which is Quinn Emanuel's representative, I won't say her name, but scolded them because he went over the deposition. He was also confused why the hell they were asking me about everything else but the relevant things. He was very confused. He literally said, I read most of this stuff. You guys asked Akademiks a bunch of things that doesn't on face value, or maybe you could substantiate, has anything to do with Meg Thee Stallion or even the case you got in Florida. Okay? Okay, that's number one. Number two was the issue of the question they asked me. The question was, who gave you the information that you tweeted? Now, I got to be honest with y'all, chat, and I really want to be clear. I don't got Alzheimer's, but y'all do know this Don Julio. It fucks with my memory. Now, during the deposition, as a matter of fact answer, I said, I'm unwilling to divulge it. As the combative lawyer got pissed off over time, because I could tell she was so heated. I'm just sitting there. As she got pissed off over time and tried to bring the issue back up, she asked me if I was trying to use, at least what's called in New Jersey, there's a shield law for people who are journalists that would prevent legally them to be forced to give up sources to information they disseminate. Now, during the deposition, I actually even said, because I could tell this chick is fuming. It's 7 hours. And I'm over here tap dancing on them. I'm over here giving them the works. You feel me? Like, I'm not even gonna lie to you, Meg. I don't know if you spent $100 grand on that, but I was giving all 7 of them the work. So eventually, when I realized they paused the deposition, they said, yo, we're gonna go get a judge right now. We gotta get you this answer out of you. I said, you know what? I'm not gonna use the shield law anymore. As a matter of fact, I'll answer. My answer is, who gave me the information? I don't recall. And I don't. That's the reality of it. So today in federal court, and by the way, I didn't have to appear, but you know, I appeared for one reason, and the judge gave me some assurance. And by the way, shout out to Judge Brendan Day, salute to my guy, good magistrate out of New Jersey federal court. He said, Meg's lawyers were trying to say that what we do here can't qualify as journalism. So laws that protect journalists can never apply to us. The judge basically, after questioning her and essentially Meg for a decent period of time, they then reduced their stance to say, no, that's not what we're saying or asking. We're not saying that Akademiks cannot get protected by laws that protect journalists, especially, and I told the judge, because the judge asked me, and I stood up, I represent myself. He said, are you trying to enforce a shield law? I said, well, in the deposition, I said, I'm not even going to use the shield law. I'll give you an answer, which is I don't recall. But the reason why I'm even showing up here to even challenge this motion is because if she gets a blanket win on the shield law, it means for future cases where someone tries to twist my hand to get information, I can't use the fact that, number one, I run an entire media company, right? And the judge agreed, but the judge did also agree with her and said, in this particular situation, because you haven't shown us how journalistically this information was gotten, we're going to grant that in part, right? However, the judge also agreed with me to say, I gave the answer already. So the judge looked at them and said, what do you think you're going to get from him if he's already saying he gave you the answer? And they're like, well, you know, we want to ask some more probative and follow-up questions and this and third. And the judge asked me again. The judge says, hey, is it your test? Like, well, we weren't on oath, but he said, do you plan on still sticking to your word or sticking to your last testimony that you don't recall? And I said, Judge, if you open up the deposition again, even though I feel this is harassment, I'm going to tell them that I don't recall because I don't recall who gave me that information. I don't. I drink a lot of alcohol. I think I wouldn't consider myself an alcoholic because that would actually preclude you from purses and weapons in some cases. But my memory's a little bit hazy. It is. The judge said, hey, listen. And he said to their lawyer, hey, we can't read minds. We don't know if he's telling the truth. We don't know if he actually doesn't recall. So they continue by saying, well, we want to ask follow-up questions. The judge said to them, why don't you just get it in writing? He'll, like, if it's one question, he did 7 hours. Just get him, just write the question out. They're like, oh, no, well, we need it. And so the judge says, do you plan on calling Livingston Alamy to the stand in Tory's trial? They said, no, we don't, but we plan on using parts of his deposition as evidence. And says, well, can't you introduce a written portion of his statements? And they're like, no, we want him. We want to, because of some evidentiary stuff, we want video. And I think the judge weighed that. So basically, to cut this short, the judge said, hey, I'm going to allow them. Well, at first he was saying 30 minutes, but he came back with 45. He said, I'm going to give them 45 minutes to have another deposition with you. So no 7 hours, 45 minutes. Their questions are barred from asking about Drake, steak, Nicki, what you eat for breakfast, how much money you got in a bet. Like, none of that. The judge literally told him that other BS is out of there. But if you want to keep asking him the same question that he tells you he's going to tell you the same thing, which I'm going to keep saying the same thing, I don't recall because I don't recall. That's where we're at. So I'm going to sit with Rock Nation and Meg Thee Stallion lawyers in the judge's chamber. Shout out to my man, Judge Brendan Day. And I'm going to tell them how I don't recall how I got the information because I don't recall. I'm sorry. It's like they're trying to jog my memory. And I told the judge, I said, Judge, they're trying to elicit an answer out of me that if I said under oath would be lying. So I don't know. So anyway, judge made his order. Apparently that trial is going to start in, when does the trial start? It started in November. So they got an expedited thing and the judge was trying to make sure to work with the schedule of the trial in Florida. But the judge said, hey, listen, the two important things, I am not making any ruling on you, your media company, or anything else that journalistically would not be protected. What I am making a ruling is that based on this question that you did answer because you initially, and they kind of blame me a little bit, what the judge did. He said, because you initially said, I wouldn't tell you no matter what, I'm going to allow follow-up questions, and I'm going to give 45 minutes. She can't ask no more bullshit about Nicki, no more bullshit about Drake, no more bullshit about anything else other than the defendant and the plaintiff in what they would be saying this information ties to. So again, chat, we'll go in there, and, we're going to hit it's going to happen. But I just want to say, sad state of affairs. But there was no secret on this. And I seen a couple pages report this. Make sure y'all report this. I gave them the answer the first time. I walked up in court. I got the transcript to the whole deposition. I got the video. I told the judge where it was at. The judge said, I seen it. I said, Judge, why should I sit again if I already said the answer? He said, okay, well, they claim to have follow-up questions. And to be fair, just because you answered in a way that seemed like you're using a shield law, then you kind of backed off the shield law. I'm going to allow them to ask a few following questions. However, I can't force you to change your answer. And I don't know if you're lying. I got no reason to think you're lying. So if you don't remember, you don't remember. Just tell them you don't remember. So I guess we're going to have 45 minutes of me trying to jog my memory. I'm going to think really hard over a lot of cups of Don Julio about where that info came from. And if I can, if I could, do my due diligence to figure it out, maybe I could help them people. Maybe. Anyway, but I didn't really tell y'all that story for that. I ain't tell y'all that story for that. Now, I just want to tell y'all, chat, we are in a interesting time. I'm going to get through this quick. Give me about 15 to 20 minutes. I want to get through this quick. Because I know you guys are like, yo, Ak, fuck what you got going on. Let's get to that.
All right, there we go. With Akademiks, man, it seems like Rock Nation or has something up their sleeve for Drake. This is all alleged, just going off what he's saying. It's supposed to be about Megan Thee Stallion, but they ask about Nicki, they asking about Drake. So that's very interesting, man. Y'all leave a comment down below. And one thing we do know, Akademiks is definitely gonna give us the tea. So y'all leave a comment down below. It's your boy DMD signing up.